Close your eyes for a moment. Listen to the silence between your thoughts. You have been told that human civilization was a sudden, accidental spark in the marshes of Mesopotamia. Your history books describe a world where the Sumerians, the first modern humans, miraculously invented writing, complex mathematics, and advanced astronomy overnight. They tell you it was a leap of evolution. But does a leap ever happen without a push? If you look into the oldest clay tablets on this planet, artifacts that the guardians of mainstream history would rather see buried, you will find a truth that is far more disturbing. It is not a story of random progress, but a story of intentional design. It is a story of flesh and blood gods who descended from the stars and rewrote the code of life within your very cells. Today, we peel back 450,000 years of lies to meet the true architects of our species, the Anunnaki. Let us travel to Sumer, the cradle of everything we know. This civilization did not just emerge, it exploded. They appeared with a fully formed legal system, advanced medicine, and a knowledge of the solar system that we only rediscovered in the last century. But the Sumerians were not arrogant enough to take credit for these wonders. In thousands of clay tablets, they recorded a single, consistent truth. Everything we possess was a gift from the Anunnaki. In their language, the word literally means, those who from heaven to earth came. These were not the mystical, invisible deities of modern religion. The Sumerians described them as physical beings, scientists, and warriors who arrived in Shem, fiery vehicles that could pierce the celestial veil. Their mission was not spiritual, it was industrial. Ancient texts like the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis reveal a haunting motive. The Anunnaki came to Earth to mine gold. Their home planet, Nibiru, was dying, its atmosphere thinning and leaking heat into space. They needed gold to pulverize into a monoatomic shield to save their world. Earth was not their home, it was their quarry. Imagine a world 300,000 years ago. According to the Sumerian records, after millennia of grueling labor in the deep mines of South Africa, the lower-ranking Anunnaki workers, the Ijiji, reached their breaking point. They burned their tools and rose up in rebellion against their masters. To prevent a total collapse of the mission, a master geneticist named Enki proposed a radical solution. He suggested creating a hybrid slave race, the Lulu-Amalu, by grafting Anunnaki DNA onto the genetic structure of the primitive primates already roaming the Earth. This is where the missing link of science finally finds its answer. Why did human brain capacity triple in a geological heartbeat? Why do humans have 46 chromosomes while every other great ape has 48? Modern genetics has confirmed that our chromosome 2 is a fused pair, a precise genetic surgery that defies the slow, messy process of natural evolution. We are not the descendants of lucky apes. We are a deliberate biological invention. We were fashioned in their image, gifted with their intelligence, but shackled with short lifespans to ensure we would never become their equals. Look at the symbols that still dominate our world today. The caduceus, the two serpents entwined around a staff, the global symbol of medicine. Ask a historian, and they will speak of ancient healing rites. But look at it through the eyes of a scientist. It is a perfect representation of the DNA double helix. How did the Sumerians possess this molecular knowledge 6,000 years before the microscope? The answer is simple. They didn't discover it, they were taught it. They witnessed the birth of the first test tube human, Adapa, in a place called the Chamber of Fate. We were not created by a miracle of clay. We were synthesized in a laboratory of the gods. The Anunnaki did not just create us, they walked among us as the first kings. If you examine the Sumerian king list, you will find records that mainstream scholars dismiss as fable. It lists kings who reigned for 28,800 years, or 36,000 years. But what if these were literal lifespans? What if these were beings who possessed the technology to halt cellular decay? They built the first great cities, Eridu, Nippur, and Babylon, not as homes for humans, but as logistical hubs and spaceports that synchronized with the 3,600-year orbital cycle of Nibiru. We were the labor force that kept their cities running. But the bond between the creator and the created was fractured from the start. A divine family feud defined our destiny. Enki, our genetic father, saw us as his children and wanted to grant us wisdom. But his brother Enlil, the supreme commander, saw us as a noisy, defective nuisance. This rivalry is the true source of every war of the gods and human myth. The great flood recorded in the Bible was not a divine punishment for sin. It was a calculated genocide. When Enlil realized an astronomical shift was coming that would drown the world, he ordered the Anunnaki to keep it a secret so that humanity would perish. It was Enki who defied the council, whispering the secret to a man named Zecharia, our Noah, and providing the blueprints to preserve the seeds of life. The Anunnaki eventually retreated into the shadows of history, leaving us to inherit a world we barely understood. But they left behind a blueprint that still governs our lives. They gave us the sexagesimal system, base 60, which we still use to divide our hours, our minutes, and the 360 degrees of our circles. Why 60? Because it is the math of the stars. Most importantly, they left their DNA within you. What scientists call junk DNA is not junk at all. It is the inactive code of your creators, a locked vault of potential waiting for the right frequency to be awakened. Why is this truth suppressed by every government and every religious institution? Because if you realized you carried the bloodline of interstellar engineers, you would become impossible to rule. You would realize that your life is not a struggle for survival, but a journey back to the stars. The truth is not something you learn. It is something you remember. It is that strange, unyielding longing you feel when you look at a star-filled sky. It is the echo of Nibiru vibrating in your subconscious. In our next episode, we cross the ocean to the jungles of South America to meet the Maya. How did a jungle civilization possess a calendar more accurate than our own? Who were the feathered serpents that taught them the secrets of time? And where did they go when they vanished into thin air? Stop listening to the world. Start listening to your blood. The ancestors are speaking. Are you ready to hear them? The cycle is completing, and the creators are closer than you think.